So welcome to the 15th podcast from the People's Pundits, myself, Kevin Clark and Ian Hart. And for the first time we are being filmed live in Mr. Hart's sumptuous abode here. And we're joined, I'm really pleased to say, by Mason Crane, Hampshire cricketer, aged 20, and of course named in the England squad for the Ashes series, which is fantastic. So how are things going, Mason, at like a county and international level at the moment?
Yeah, not too bad at the moment. It was an interesting finish to the season for Hampshire. We made it a bit harder for ourselves than we perhaps should have done, but it was a really enjoyable year for myself. Obviously, making an international debut and got to play in another finals day, which was an awesome experience as well. So it's all good at the moment.
So what's your preference? Is it the T20s or the Test stuff? Have you got a favourite?
To be honest, I'm pretty happy with all of it at the moment. I played a lot of T20s this year for the first time, a lot of games in a row, and I really enjoyed that. It was great having big crowds in and all the sort of the hype that goes with it. So that was awesome. But I also love the long form and being in a Test environment as well. It's been great fun.
And that first international wicket, A.B. de Villiers.
Yeah.
I thought you'd won the polls.
Yeah, well,
absolutely ballistic, mate.
I think the celebration
says
it all, doesn't it?
No, it's superb.
No, yeah, it was.
That must be, in all your sport, and it hasn't been, and all been plain sailing for you, and you'd be the first to admit that. Sussex let you go, but you didn't let it get you down. You got your head down, and now at 20 you're going on an Ashes tour. Well done, Sussex. So it must be that feeling. I mean, because he's one of the top players in the world, and he's your first international wicket. That will be the one you will always remember.
Yeah, it was amazing. I think you've probably seen the celebration. That probably
I was in Ribsy's kitchen having a bath.
Absolute
quality. Because it hadn't been. To be fair, the over before that hadn't been going well, had it?
No.
And then you just suddenly clicked just at the right moment, and
it was.
The rest is history, mate.
Yeah, it was tough going. Like you said, he is one of the best in the world, and he showed that the few balls before he was sort of hitting them out the park. Standing there scratching my head, thinking, well, this is international cricket, then, is it? So it was awesome to get out. It was a great relief. It was a big moment in the game as well, which was a series decider, and they're the games you want to play in. So it was an amazing feeling, and
Did he see you afterwards? Did he pat you on the back and say well done? Or?
No, they came in for a drink after the game, and I did have a quick chat with him. But he's an awesome guy and one of the best ever players. So I'm lucky to say I've got him out.
Good stuff. Well done.
So we're keeping our youth policy. We had Ben last week, 28, our son journalist. Mason now 20. Are we going to have like a teenager next week? Is that? We're just going lower and lower.
He's barely out his team.
So we've reflected on last week. Obviously, no Premier League, we had the international break. England qualifying, both the Ireland teams in the playoffs. Sad news again for the Welsh and the Scots. Personally, international football, I don't know for you guys, the qualifying stage, I do find a bit tedious, but I did tune in last 10 minutes for Ireland and Wales and saw Roy Keane not only smiling but laughing at the end. So that was like a big highlight for them. You guys, any observations from the international football and the World Cup qualifications?
I just can't put my finger on it. I mean, people on Sunday I went and walked the dog because the Lithuania game was awful, wasn't it? And
I didn't watch it.
Maybe it's a dead rubber, and we'd already qualified. But the game that we qualified in on Thursday, that was awful. The thing that really I can't work it out. One of the big things. All right, you're a Liverpool man and you're an Arsenal man, but going into the Premiership as a Brighton fan, the thing, and I've said it in the earlier podcast, the thing that really got me was how fast the Premiership football is, how fast it is. So why are England so slow when the best English players play in the Premiership?
It's the classic transferring club form to internationals, and that's been going on for years, isn't it, for England?
It's just so slow. And the players, two of the players that got really slagged off was Rashford and Sterling. We can't slag them off for their clubs, can you? Because they're up the top of the league. It's just, I don't know how we're going to do it. I fear we're going to have a disappointing summer next year. I can't see us going very far. I can see us getting out of the group maybe, but you get into the knockout stages and start playing quality sides. Iceland are there as well. So
I'm hoping we're going to
they
do,
might
you
have
know.
bogey side. It could be the most disastrous trip to Russia since Hitler in 1941. There you go. You can have
on that controversial note, Mace, how about you? Your observations from the international football?
Well, like Ian said, it's not doesn't seem as fast as the other football you would tend to watch, the Premier League and other leagues as well. And maybe as a cricketer looking in, I think the England cricket team, for example, they're England cricketers. They play for England all the time. They're always as a group, and the England footballers, it looks like they just come together for a couple of weeks and they don't play with each other at their clubs a couple of weeks here and there, and you've got to string together a team and a formula, and I think it's difficult to work it like that, so maybe that's the reason for it. Like you said, I do find it tedious in that stage. I mean, no, Lithuania, personally I'm not going to turn up and watch that, but the World Cup is great to watch, and hopefully next year that'll be a good view.
I fancy Southgate. I mean, I said to you before, I fancy Southgate. I don't think he's going to win it or anything, but I think he will improve us. I do think he will.
Why is it that the smaller the teams with the smaller player pool seem to put it together, like your Northern Irelands and your Irelands and your Icelands and your people like that? They don't. They were talking about Martin O'Neill's preparation, and it's virtually nil. He is a motivational. His team talks. When he was the manager of Celtic, there was a player. I think it was Michael Gray, who played for Celtic, and he said his team talk wasn't really about tactics. It was about the badge and the history. And the player you've got sat either side of you in the dressing room is a quality player. You should be proud to be his teammate. And
it's getting a club ethic, isn't
you've
it?
all got to go out there.
And
I think Martin O'Neill's done it, and they came up on the rails. Interesting one to throw in about international football, which they were going on the radio the other day, is that they're surprised that FIFA haven't held back a space, being it is all about commercial, which is basically an all-stars team made up of the teams that didn't qualify. You imagine that, have a squad of players for players that hadn't qualified. So you've got the Dutch.
Who came up with that idea?
It was on Talk Sport. No, it was on Talk Sport. He said, "Why don't they come out with a
dry news day?"
No, why don't they come out with a wild card? I mean, it's
Let's hope that
never going to happen. But it's a bit like the 39th game. It will never happen. But
George Best could have got in a World Cup if they did that, couldn't they?
George Best, and
that could be another one. All the great players who didn't play in World Cups.
There's only George Best, isn't there?
There's only George Best. There must be someone else.
Well, I think it's George Best, isn't it?
George Best.
I think
George
Kevin
Best.
Keegan did 15 minutes, didn't he?
Oh, come on. He's a legend, Kevin Keegan.
In 82, yeah.
So, let's move off international football, as we all found it a bit tedious. And I was in Ibiza anyway, so I didn't get to watch
saw that.
I was clubbing it in Pasha Hearty, down with the kids.
Can I just point out that you are nearly 50?
I know.
What are you doing in a nightclub in Ibiza?
Well, you'd have to talk to my wife about that. It was on her bucket list. And we bumped into Antonio Conte on the beach.
No way.
Look at that. I nabbed him just as he was
Dave Bartram from Shawadi Body.
He did have a touch of the Bartram about him.
Yeah, but no, it was good.
It was good.
Was it nice Ibiza?
It was brilliant, we had a great time. Great weather, partying. I've got to do it before I got to 50, you see.
Don't rub it in.
So, Premier League, so we're going to flip the podcast, right? So normally we're talking about what's going on in the Premier League. This time we're going to take a tip from Mark Lawrenson, Brighton legend, one of your favourites.
Yeah. The best player to ever play for Brighton.
You said that, didn't you?
Yeah, the best player to ever play for
He does his predictions, Football Focus. So we're going to walk through the 10 games this weekend in the Premier League, and we're going to be a little chat about each one, a bit of a preview, but importantly, I will be, pen in hand here, I will be capturing your predictions, because the plan is it's 10 points for a correct outcome, and 40 points if you get a correct score.
Right.
But importantly, as he nods to the camera for the listeners, we want everyone to get onto the YouTube link when we post this film, and by Friday night or Saturday midday before Liverpool United, we want you all to stick your predictions up on YouTube, and then Monday night / Tuesday, how you've got on with your points, so we can sort of feedback on that next time. So that is the plan. So all routes point to YouTube this time. Forget Facebook, Twitter. It's all about YouTube this time.
Yeah.
So let's kick off, shall we, with the games. Now, as you know, I like a stat. I'm going to give you a little intro to help you both when you're doing your predictions, right? So, the worst defences in the Premier League. We've got Palace conceded 17, West Ham 13, then Liverpool, Watford, Everton and Leicester on 12. The three best attacks, City 22 goals, United 21, Spurs 14. Top scorers, Lukaku with 7, followed by Aguero, Morata and Keane with 6. And the most assists, Rashford and Aguero with 3. Aguero's everywhere on this. Back to why isn't he ever in a Premier League team? Who knows? Yeah. But first match, kicking it all off, Liverpool United. So we've got Liverpool in 7th, United 2nd, 7-point gap already. United 19 points, Liverpool 12. No Mane for 6 weeks for Liverpool, still no Lallana. Sturridge and Firmino out of form. Liverpool have only scored 13 and conceded 12. And just to give you a flavour, in the last 6, United have won 6 out of 6. Liverpool 1 win in their last 6, including 4 draws. So, let's start with Mason, shall we, on this one? Liverpool United, what are you thinking here? How do you think it's going to go? Anything you call out? And obviously I'm going to nail you for a prediction, pen in hand here.
Well, from what I've seen of Man United this year, they've looked awesome. They've looked organised. And one thing I've noticed is they've moved a lot quicker than previous years sometimes. Watched it been a bit sluggish, and so for that reason I'm going to say it's going to be 3-1 to Man United.
I'm going to get that. Before you predict, Harty, I will tell you one thing. Mourinho's win percentage against Liverpool, you look at all the teams where he's played 10 games or more, it's the third worst with Liverpool. 44% win rate. His worst is Barcelona, only 29%. And in second, would you believe, between Barcelona and Liverpool, Stoke, win rate 40%. I just thought I'd drop that in for you, mate. So we're going 3-1 there, Mason, to Man U. So come on then, Harty. Liverpool, Man U.
I think this must be, you're a Liverpool fan, this must be your bugbear. I have no affinity to Manchester United, but that must really grind Liverpool that they are so far behind Manchester United already.
He's looking me straight in the
eyes.
No,
I'm just saying. I think, as we've said on the podcast for the last 14 weeks, it's the Manchester clubs. It's just going to be a two-horse race.
This is one game, though.
I think. Well, it is one game, but we have seen some comic defending, haven't we, from Liverpool? And you're a Liverpool fan, and you said that.
I don't know. It's poor. Even on paper, it's a poor defence, and the keeper as well.
Comic defend. I think it's going to be Liverpool 0, Man United 2.
Look at that! Look, I've got mine down already. We are the same. That is exactly my prediction.
What's your backing against your team?
Do you know what? Here,
you're backing against your team.
I thought this is people's pundits, right? Yeah. You've got to take that affiliation away.
Take it away. Yeah,
be like balanced. Gary Neville used to get stick for being pro Man United to start with, and they said it's got to be neutral, Gary. Yeah. So I'm being neutral.
Go on then.
And our defence is so poor. We're not scoring goals at the moment. Mane's a huge miss. Salah's the only one I can see scoring, but unfortunately, I think we're going to get done.
Yeah,
Lukaku the way he is. So I'm 2-0 as well to United. Let's hope we're all wrong on that one.
Let's hope we're wrong. Go on then, far away next
one. I didn't ask you your team. Is your team Man United?
No, he's a
Gooner. Gooner. Right, okay. So game 2 of 10. Burnley against West Ham. Burnley in 6th. West Ham 15th. Another 7-point gap here as well. In terms of Burnley on 19. The Hammers down the bottom there. Burnley 2 wins and 4 draws in the last 6. West Ham have actually won 3 out of the last 6. What's the thoughts here, gentlemen?
Come on, Mace. You go first.
Well, I don't have a clue. Like I said, West Ham are probably underachieving a bit. I think this year they got their big new stadium. They got a fair amount of money, and football seems to be all about money at the moment. But Burnley, like I said, they're 6th, are they?
6th place.
Yeah, they're doing okay.
West Ham 15th.
Yeah, so I'm going to say 2-2 for this one.
2-2, yeah. So Harty, what are we thinking here? Burnley, West Ham.
Football's not all about money to a degree. I know Burnley have spent a few quid, but they are debt free. I think it's a stat that we came up in a previous podcast that Burnley are something like the 14th richest club in the world, aren't they?
And Sean Dyche,
and they've got a decent manager.
Only decent.
Well, no, a decent manager, a decent English manager, which is like a hen's tooth. So I think Burnley will actually win this. I'm going for Burnley 2, West Ham 0.
Burnley 2, West Ham 0.
What did you go for?
Well, for me here, I'm thinking Burnley have had this amazing start. Lots of it, their away form, they flip. The away form's better than the home form this year. I think there's going to be goals, and I've actually got Burnley 2, West Ham 3. I'm going for a goal fest at Turf Moor.
Well, there you go.
So now the next game, if we can't predict the outcome of this one, I think we're all in trouble. So this is all about the correct score, surely.
Yeah.
This is Palace Chelsea.
Oh, I've done this on my Super 6.
So we have got.
So I know what this is.
You know this, right?
Yeah.
Palace obviously in 20. I don't know. I'm looking at my notes.
Yeah.
Palace obviously rock bottom in 20th, right?
No, we don't need to make.
We've got Chelsea in 4th spot, so we've got a big gap here. Palace, we know. I mean, Hazard's just had the Ballon d'Or nomination.
Yeah.
Where are we at? So let's start with you,
I
Harty,
think
this
it's.
time.
Has anyone seen on the internet the Crystal Palace goal of the month for September?
It's
Which is Saka's goal in the League Cup.
League Cup, they did
against
that
Huddersfield.
Huddersfield.
Yeah, but they kept playing it, didn't they? Goal A, goal B, goal C, goal D, goal E. And it's the same goal because that's the gag. Because they've only scored one goal. I think it's more doom and gloom for them. I think whilst the Manchester clubs are going to run away with it, I think Chelsea probably be the only people that could probably keep in touch with them. I think it's Palace 0. Chelsea 4.
4-0, eh? What are we thinking, Mason, on this one?
Yeah, well, I'm going to say 4-0 as well. The only one of the only games where I can confidently say I don't think Crystal Palace is going to score a goal. I've watched them a couple of games on TV and they haven't looked like scoring a goal. And I think I saw somewhere that Benteke's out, so. If he is, that's their only.
I mean,
they're at home now. They are at Selhurst, the Ultras, back in.
Is this the ultimate Premiership nightmare? Never mind them being our rivals at Brighton. Is this the ultimate Premiership nightmare? Going back to the days of Swindon and Derby County.
Remember that was the old Wigan Paul Jewell, wasn't it?
Where you must know, the clocks haven't even gone back, and your team is truly crap. And you've got to sit there and watch it week in, week out. Are
you not backing Roy to get him out of this?
Pardon?
You're not backing Roy to get him out of this?
I think Roy might get. I think if Coleman leaves Wales, Coleman might end up at Crystal Palace.
That's not a bad shout.
I think if Roy is a Palace fan, but so's the Dave Clark 5. But you're not going to get him to get you out of trouble. But no, I just think it must be awful, and we have this rivalry, and it does get a little bit toxic sometimes. But I can't think that would have been my Premiership nightmare. If you flip it round now and have Brighton where Palace are now, it would be everything now. I'm getting really excited. My boys, I've got tickets for the next 4 games. I'm going to Swansea away. International football. We've got international football.
We're going to that.
So I'm going to the next 4 games. Going to Everton, West Ham, Southampton, Swansea, and it's just exciting because we're competing. I thought
he's flipped it off Palace to Brighton.
I'm just saying it must be the ultimate footballing nightmare.
But the thing with Palace,
to actually sit there and know how crap you are.
The big difference is Palace's squad. If Brighton was 7-0 or whatever, I would be like you, really concerned. But you've got to look at that Palace squad on paper. There are some good players in that squad, and you've got to say there's potential for them to turn the corner. I think. I don't think they're down yet.
But is it going back to the Martin O'Neill argument and the Michael O'Neill argument? Who they've got in the dugout now? Is he going to get the best out of those players? I don't think he will.
But you've got to remember, right? 7-0 sounds terrible and no goals, but 4th from bottom of Leicester with 5. You're only about 5 points. They got nothing. Palace. Leicester got 5. They're not cut adrift. And I reckon my prediction, Chelsea obviously going to win, but I think at some point Palace have got to score a goal, and I think they're going to do it. So I've got 3-1 to Chelsea for that one. I think Palace are going to break their duck. Yeah. Not on the points.
Good. That's good then.
So there we go.
The open top bus will leave orders on Sunday lunchtime.
Game 4.
Yeah.
Man City, Stoke. So we got City top of the table, Stoke in 13th. 19 points against 8, a bit of a gap there. We spoke about, obviously, no Aguero. I mean, look at the assists, the goals, fantastic. Crouchy's banging them in for Stoke, coming off the bench. City 6 out of 6, like United. Stoke have only won 1 out of their last 6 matches. So Mason, for you on this one, what are we thinking here? Who do you think is going to be the star of the show in that game? And obviously City at home as well there.
Oh, City at home. I think Sane's looked really good whenever I've seen him. He looks electric. So.
Oh, he's so fast, isn't he?
Yeah,
so
I think
quick.
he might be a bit too much for Stoke, and so 3-1 to City for me.
3-1 to City. What are we thinking, Harty, on this one?
I think again, head and shoulder. I think 5-0 City. Even without Aguero, I just think that they've got so much class. And Stoke were my tip for relegation.
I know, I remember that. I was going to remind you.
Relegation. And I didn't tip Palace for relegation. No, 5-0 man.
5-0. Nothing for Crouchy.
Nothing for Crouch.
I see. I've got Crouchy nicking one here. I've got 4-1 to City. And Sterling here, right? I mentioned those goal scorers earlier. Sterling, 5 goals this season. And you look at the goals per minute, he's actually scoring at a quicker rate than the strikers. For the amount of time he's been on the pitch, he's doing better than Lukaku.
He did back that penalty
Kane,
at Watford, though, didn't he? Where he insisted on taking the penalty. It's like under-8 stuff, wasn't it? What are you going for?
I'm going for 4-1 City.
4-1
City, because I fancy Crouchy to come on and... they're a bit suspect at the back, City, aren't they? Crouchy. He'll get a consolation goal in the 95th minute, yeah? Right, going for Swansea. I'm not sure if they had another one of your relegation tips, actually. Against Huddersfield. So interesting.
They were both my relegation tips.
I mean, that's about 4 relegation tips.
I tipped Stoke, Swansea and Huddersfield, didn't I?
There you go.
With West Ham being on the fringes.
On the fringe. So we've got Swansea in 18th, so bottom 3, 5 points. And we've got Huddersfield, of course, who've had a great 11th in the table, 9 points. Great start. So Harty, who are you seeing as the standout players? Isn't the bubbles burst for Huddersfield yet?
I think this is the old Bill Shankly line, really. That if that game was going on in my back garden, I'd shut the curtains. So
I use that line on sports.
I think
I've got Castigate on Twitter going, that's not your line, that's Bill Shankly.
No, I think I would. I'll just go for 1-1. One for the Pools coupon.
Well, we got Tammy Abrams, haven't we? We obviously Brighton tried to get Tammy Abrams.
I think we might have dodged a bullet with him there, but then there again, then he'll go and prove me wrong and score about 20 goals.
So you're going 1-0, and just to give you Huddersfield at the moment, after that great start, 3 losses, 3 draws in the last 6. They haven't won in 6. Swansea 2 wins in the last 6. So
draws.
1-0 for you, Harty. What are you thinking, Mason? Any star players you've seen at Swansea or Huddersfield?
Well,
that's a tough
question.
I've
had Abrams in my fantasy team all year, and he's actually done alright. So I'm hoping he can score another one this weekend. It'll be 1-0 to Swansea, I hope.
You're thinking 1-0 to Swansea?
Yeah, I don't see it being the most exciting game, but so be it.
There you go. I think the Huddersfield bubble has burst, and I think Swansea, to be honest, I think Swansea have been a bit unfortunate in some of their home games, so I'm going for a Swansea 2-0 win, and I think, and it'll be good for Brighton, by the way.
Do you think
we need Huddersfield to start dropping?
Well, no, but we need Swansea to start dropping.
A draw would be the best for us, wouldn't it? I suppose.
I'm going for my team, you see. I'm not being selfish.
Look. I'm going to be interested in your Brighton prediction later.
Wait and see. I look forward to that. Go on.
Right. We're now next to this is probably the biggest gap on points and league position here. We've got Spurs at home to Bournemouth. Bournemouth second from bottom. Spurs in third highest scorers. Literally Spurs last 6, 5 wins and a draw in the last 6 for Spurs. Bournemouth 2 wins out of 6. I mean, that's not good news for Brighton. They're obviously beating Brighton in one of those. Eddie Howe, I don't know if he's got the curse of future England managers. We saw it happen with John Gregory and Alan Pardew and all of that. Harry Kane is just electric at the moment, isn't he? So what we think, Harty, how are you seeing this one going?
Well, that used to be a programme I saw, didn't they, called the Enfield Haunting. So are we going to have the Wembley Haunting? Is Jermaine Defoe going to come back?
That is a good point.
And actually start doing, because the thing about Bournemouth, you say about bubbles bursting and things like that, you've got a bloke sat in that dressing room with a team that aren't doing well, and he's getting paid 140 grand a week. Now they're not all getting 140 grand a week, are they? And it can't. How long does it go on for? I mean, it might be in cricket as well. But how long does it go on for if a team is not going well and is struggling, and you're all sitting there and there's boots flying and cups of tea and hair dryer treatment and stuff like that? But you're actually sitting there on your 25 grand a week, and he's sitting there on his 140 grand.
You think there's going to
be
like
I think he's going to have to start.
Mutiny?
Well, no. I think human nature is something will. So maybe this could be the sort of catalyst. Spurs aren't good at Wembley, are they? We know that.
No.
And Defoe does like playing at Wembley. England international, and he's got to start repaying some of that money.
You think Bournemouth would do something? Is there another team? Some of the games
you always have to go for a left field one, don't you?
Is this your left field one?
This is my left field.
This is your Jeremy Corbyn.
This is my Jeremy Corbyn. Well, it is a left field, but it's not, because I think ultimately Spurs will run out winners. But I think it's going to be touch and go. I think it's going to be a thrilling game, and I think it's going to be Spurs 3, Bournemouth 2.
2 for Bournemouth.
And I would like. I would
is Defoe getting both of those?
Defoe, well, no, I'd like to see Defoe get on the old, because he's in my fantasy team.
How about you, Mason? Spurs, Bournemouth.
It does hurt me to say it, but Spurs have looked quite good. And Harry Kane,
as a Gooner, sticking in your throat.
They've looked good away from home, though, haven't they?
They're very good away. Yeah.
Do you think you've got this?
I do, but I also think that the time's got to come where they do start producing at Wembley as well.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time, mate. It's.
Let's hope it's after the 13th of December.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be the game. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Spurs.
2-0 to Spurs. I think it's going to be. I know Spurs have had the Wembley woes and all that, but I just to me they look really on top of their game at the moment. Spurs. I mean, they're fantastic going forward. I think Kane's scoring, and I'm going 3-0. I think it's going to be comfortable. I think they will. I think it could be worse, but 3-0 for me. Spurs, Bournemouth. So, onto your team, mate. We'll have to ask you first. So, Mace, we've got Watford against Arsenal, just down the road from each other. I confess before to Harty, I've got a bit of a man crush on Marco Silva. The Watford. I think he's going all the way. I think he's going to manage at the top end of the game. Brilliant at Hull. I think the way he's got Watford playing, going out, real attacking football, great to watch. And Arsenal, I've got to say, I mean, you were at the game as well, Harty. I just thought the atmosphere at the Emirates was just quiet. I thought the team, talk about playing at pace, the team played so slowly, and it looked like a crowd and a team that were just disinterested. I mean, Sanchez turned up in the second half and turned it, but before that he just looked like he wasn't bothered. I just feel Arsenal have got major problems, and I was thinking that, and then I looked at their stats, and they've actually won 5 and drawn 1 in their last 6, and that really surprised me. I don't know about you guys when I looked at it. That Arsenal's form in the last 6 is fantastic, but it just doesn't feel like that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Mace? This is your team going to Watford, obviously away at Watford.
Arsenal, like you said, they can look like that sometimes. I think the few games I've been to in the last few years, it has been a bit of waiting for Sanchez to do something, or waiting for a special pass from Ozil, which is a bit worrying. But we've, like I said, got away with it so far in the last 6. But I'm just going to stick with him. I'm going to say 3-0 Arsenal.
3-0. Look at that. Is that from the head or the heart, Mason?
It's mainly heart, if I'm honest. But no, I think if they play well, I think Watford is the sort of team that you should beat if you want to be up there and win trophies and compete.
You can't argue with that. Absolutely.
So I think we should beat them quite comfortably, hopefully.
So 3-0 to Arsenal. That'd be a great away win at Watford, to be honest. How about you, Harty?
Well, I'm surprised at you, Kev. I'm surprised at you, Kev.
In what sense? What am I man?
Well, because you've man. I think some might call it stalking. As he blocked your face. I think the Conti people have been on.
I'm getting every Premier League manager one by one.
But if any of them gets murdered, it's your house that's getting turned over. I'm surprised at you because I saw you outside at Vicarage Road, so you've been to watch Watford Brighton and you've been to watch Arsenal Brighton.
I have.
All right, there was room for optimism when we left the Emirates, but Brighton should have beaten Watford.
Yes, they did have an early sending off though.
Brighton should have beaten Watford, and Brighton could have got something from Arsenal had they gone for it a bit. I'm going to almost go with Mason here. I think Arsenal are going to win 3-1. They did look disinterested, and I think until there's a change of manager there, I think it's going to go on there. But they're always going to be a top 7 club.
That was nice, wasn't it? Top 7.
Well, a top
I was on the top 4 once since I've been alive.
a top 7 club, but
He likes Everton.
yeah, no, but they're not a top 7 club, are they? But no, so I think it'll be Watford 1, Arsenal 3. I mean, Manchester City went down to Watford, didn't they? And that absolutely humiliated
That's a good point,
them,
actually.
so
They did, didn't they?
I think,
Yeah. I do think Arsenal are going to win as well. I think it's going to be tough. I've got 2-1 Arsenal. I do fancy Watford to score. The Arsenal defence didn't look great to me.
I mean,
from what
Murray
I've
had a
seen.
chance. We hit the post.
Yeah.
And, you know,
We are missing Mustafi as well, I think.
Yes, yeah.
Picked up an injury, so...
So 2-1
Someone's
for
gotta
me,
feel that.
but wins for you guys. So now I was going to do a drum roll, but I've got nothing to go on here. I don't want the commander-in-chief telling me off. So we've got Brighton against Everton. Now the interesting one here, you've got, of all the games, you look at the stats, it's the tightest, right? You've got Brighton 14th, Everton 16th, both on 7 points. You've got both of them last 6th, 3 losses, 2 wins and a draw, identical. We've got Everton coming in on a Koeman under pressure, etc. Brighton's home form, of course, has been great. So this, on paper, looks a really tight one.
we love football, don't we?
We do.
And one of the reasons we love football is it is unpredictable. It's this unpredictability about football. And when you and I sat over there and we did podcast 2 or 3, we were talking about Everton. All right, Lukaku had gone, but they were spending all this money. And I did say I think they were going to finish in the top 7. I thought they might even finish above Liverpool. And I'm going to lose. Yeah, I've got a bet with him, which I'm going to lose. That's by the by. I would never have dreamed that we would be sitting here at the beginning of October, or middle of October now, thinking, 1, that Koeman is under pressure, 2, Brighton would be above Everton, and coming into a game which really excites me, which is one of the reasons why, going the total antidote to the Crystal Palace thing. These are the games, these are the weekends that really excite you about the Premiership. Bit miffed about the Sunday kick-off, but that's what we have to accept now. But we're going into this game confident. I don't think we're going to lose. I'm going for Brighton 3, Everton 1. And I really but this is
no
why
puns,
but this is why we love it. I mean, and I've got Pickford in my fantasy team, so I'm doing myself out of points here. But I just think if Brighton click, the only thing that I will say about Houghton is with the Man City game and the Arsenal game, he's set up as to not to get hiding, which I can understand. And you look at some of the hidings that have been given out, and Arsenal had a hiding up at Liverpool, so he's set out. He's got to be a little bit more adventurous on Sunday, and we've got to go for it. The only bonus is that we're playing against a team that are low on confidence, and there is a crisis there, whether the Everton fans, local Everton fans, national Everton fans like it or not, there is a crisis there. I don't think they will sack him if they lose, but I think if they lose on Sunday, I think he can't have long after that.
But I think it's interesting, just digressing on the manager, I think when Liverpool got Klopp, for example, I thought Liverpool were punching above their weight. Klopp was getting linked with the best of clubs, around the world, around Europe or whatever. And I think Koeman as well, you look at clubs he was linked, I think Everton punched above their weight in getting Koeman. And to me, I just think you've got to show some patience. I know it's not going well at the moment, but that guy has not suddenly become a bad manager overnight, has he? And I think everyone rated him when he got there.
But those days are gone. We can't live in the past. We can't have space dust or space operas and stuff like that. Those days are gone. Managers don't get time, do they? It is a quick fix now. And, Everton have got this Iranian fella who probably doesn't know Howard Kendall from Take That, Howard Donald, isn't it? He probably doesn't know his Howard Kendalls from his Howard Donalds. He's looking at this global product, which is the Premiership, and he's looking at shirt sales and TV sales, and this other thing where the top clubs are trying to break away with a TV deal. So sadly, no one likes to see anybody out of a job. I don't think they'll sack him when we win on Sunday, but I don't think. he's got very long, which is costing me money because I bet with you.
I know.
About the Liverpool thing, you know.
Obviously, you're expecting Rooney to get the Everton goal, I assume, with your loving. That's
Sigurdsson, because I've got him in my fantasy team.
Well, mate, before you predict, one thing I would say, I mean, Harty very bold with Brighton scoring 3. If you look in the division, right, only Swansea and Palace have scored less goals than Everton and Brighton. Yeah, we know Palace haven't scored any. Swansea got 2. Brighton have scored 5 goals all season. Everton have scored 4. So these are 2 low. All the Everton fans are complaining, no striker, we didn't replace Lukaku. All the Brighton fans are complaining, why didn't we get a striker? So I'm not trying to lead the witness here, Mason. I'm just trying to give you a little bit more context there.
Raymond Burr.
One thing I will say, going back to the manager, is looking in at football, managers seem to come and go a lot, but Ronald Koeman's never kicked a football for Everton. He's not out there actually doing it, and it amazes me that a team gets rid of managers halfway through a season. 4 games into a season, Crystal Palace, he got rid of their manager, and it just amazes me. I think he's set up his whole pre-season. He's set up, and the team are built to play a certain way, and it's not working, but. Don't know if it might have worked in the future if you get rid of him now. So
does that happen in cricket? In cricket, do you see that sort of turnover, or people really giving a lot longer?
Obviously in cricket it's different. The captain runs the team a lot more, and the coach sort of oversees and stuff like that. But if a coach leaves, it does tend to be at the end of a season, unless there's something else going on, like
some sort of scandal.
No, or no, like personal reasons or anything like that.
Yeah.
They do tend to leave at the end of a season. Which I think is the way forward, because then you get a new manager and he has his whole pre-season, get his own team sorted the way he wants, have a bit of time to sort it. But the way football goes, I don't.
So would you stick with Koeman then? Would you keep him in there?
Yeah, I probably would, to be honest. I would have, if I was Palace, I would have stick their manager as well.
Yeah, likewise.
He's tried to
absolutely.
at least. If even 4 games, you can't judge.
Ridiculous.
What if 4 fluke games in a row, that can happen. You've got to give him, at least.
But we have spoken about this before on previous shows that they basically got him from if you look at the managers that they previously had, they basically wanted to totally change Crystal Palace and how they played football.
Yeah.
And they gave him 360 minutes. I mean, it's absolutely mad.
It's crazy, yeah.
Even for Crystal Palace.
And a short pre-season as well.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at I'm going to have to get you off the fence now, mate. So this one, Brighton
I'm
Everton.
going to say it's going to be a 1-0 to Brighton.
1-0. I've influenced him there, all that low scoring, haven't I?
I think it'll be a late goal as well.
A late goal.
It's a late goal and a party at the Amex.
Look at that.
That'd be good.
I'm going with 1-1. I think. Because I think Houghton will still play it tonight. I think both the teams struggle to score. And I suppose in a way I think Everton's bad run has got to end at some point.
So's Palace's, isn't it?
And maybe you look at, Rooney, you look at it's going to be tough to play against. I don't know. I'm seeing 1. I hope it's not, obviously. I hope Brighton win and we'll be there. But I'm seeing 1-0 at the moment in terms of this. So 2 games to go. We'll up the pace on the last 2. We've got Southampton against Newcastle. Southampton 12th, Newcastle 9th. Only a couple of points between them. We've seen Shelby on fire for Newcastle, certainly against Liverpool. Southampton have lost 4 of their last 6. Newcastle have won 3 of their last 6 at Southampton. So, Mason, what are you thinking on that one? Southampton, Newcastle.
Yeah, don't forget Hampshire.
Yeah, well, a few of the guys do like to go watch
check under your car.
Right.
But it hasn't all been positive reactions from them this year, and but no, I hope they can turn it around. It's sort of my local team now, I guess, apart from Brighton, obviously, in the winters when I'm moving here. But so I'm going to go for 2-1 to Southampton.
2-1 to Southampton with old Pellegrini, isn't it, the new man? He played for Liverpool for a season or 2.
Did he?
Pellegrini, yeah. Oh, so I'll put that against you, Harty, for a minute there. 2-1. So Harty for you. Southampton against the Geordies.
I've got Bertrand and Virgil van Dijk in the fantasy team. So really, I've got to go.
I think this fantasy team's influencing your predictions.
Well, of course, that's what happens. So I'm going to go for 2-0.
To who?
To Southampton.
To Southampton,
I wasn't too impressed with Newcastle when they came down and played against Brighton. I thought Brighton were very good for their win.
Yeah.
And maybe.
I think Rafa's got them going a bit. The fans love Rafa there, don't they? Fans all because they're another one who got a manager above their, again punching above their weight.
One of the things in his defence, and he's had some horrible stick over the years, and fat Spanish waiter and stuff like that. We all, as we get old, we all put a few pounds on. But
the camera does that.
The camera does. We've got 8 cameras on. I think one of the things that really wins him over with the Newcastle fans is when they got relegated, he actually stayed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people thought he'd go.
And I think, with all the jobs that are available, he could have walked and he could have got another job. And I'd imagine Mike Ashley's not the easiest person to work for. So I think he's probably got a lot of brownie points up at Newcastle over that. But he's still going to lose Sunday 2-0.
I'm thinking 1-0. I think Rafa's going to keep it
tight.
1-0.
This is about your calls,
That's only my second 1-0. They just happen to have been back to back. You know what I mean? But I think Rafa is so well organised. I don't see him losing there, to be honest. I don't see him losing. I think they'll keep that momentum going. So the final game, so imagine now you've watched all these glorious Premier League football over Saturday and Sunday. You're thinking Monday night football, one more game.
I can only think of one team.
Brilliant! It's Leicester against West Brom. Yay!
That's a Midlands derby, isn't it?
Well, it is a Midlands derby. Yeah, I'm doing that a bit of a disservice, aren't I? Really. So Leicester fall from bottom, actually. But obviously we saw Leicester play Brighton, but
I didn't.
I was there, but Leicester to me I think they've been quite unlucky. When I've watched Leicester play, they look like they're playing pretty well to me. But they're not
because they
getting
did
the
run at
results.
Arsenal on that Friday night for the first game, didn't they?
Well, they ended up drawing.
Yeah.
No, they lost, didn't
Yeah.
they? They were
They
3-2 up,
lost,
weren't they?
yeah.
They lost 4-3.
Yeah.
And so I think they're a bit unfortunate, but they've lost 3 out of the last 6. West Brom haven't won in 6. 3 losses, 3 draws.
Yeah.
So how are we seeing this one? So Mason, for you, Leicester, West Brom.
I like Vardy. I think he's awesome. He is electric. I think so. I think he's gonna score a couple, and it'll be 2-0 to Leicester.
2-0 to Leicester. And Harty, for you?
I'm going to go for your Paul's coupon. I'm going to just go 1-1.
You're going 1-1.
This is one of those games that may help us. So come the end of the season. So.
I think Leicester are due one. I think that, as I say, I think they've been really unfortunate. I'm a Vardy fan as well, and I think he's going to nick a winner. I think it's going to be tight. Pulis well organised, but I'm thinking 1-0 Leicester for that one. So there we go. We've done our 10 matches. So we've just about got a little bit of time to wrap up with our Super Cool versus Major Tool nomination. So let's start with Super Cool. So Harty, do you want to kick us off with your nomination?
Mine is a national one, and it's the nation of Iceland. Again, for this World Cup qualification. There's a lovely snippet on the TV this morning, was the Icelandic commentator at the end of the game, and he started crying. And I mean, it must mean it's such a small country. I think it's the smallest country to ever qualify for the World Cup finals. Is it? 336,000 people live there. And so, I think it's. I think they only beat. I think the previous one was Trinidad and Tobago, which was 1.6 million or something like that. But no, they are the smallest. It is a great achievement. And it's almost like the magic of the World Cup. We talked about it dumbing down, and they'll be everybody's second team.
And also the fans, isn't it? With that lovely routine with the clapping and all that, and it's brilliant, isn't it? How about you, Mason? Super Cool.
It's got to be Messi, isn't it? Last night, I think showed why he's probably.
He's not done that often enough, has he, for Argentina? Actually,
he hasn't, but it's in there, and I think he showed why he's the best ever last night, in my opinion.
They need
the best ever.
I reckon, yeah.
That's like,
we'll
have to get you
That's
back.
another. Yeah, we'll have another debate on that one.
Debate on that.
I'm going to go. I mentioned him earlier. I've just never seen Roy Keane look so happy ever. Even winning trophies to Man U, he looked absolutely.
Do you think part of that was this sort of brotherhood thing with Coleman with his broken leg?
Yeah, I mean,
because they said that they'd had him throughout with the squad, and he actually broke it against Wales, didn't he?
That team spirit, and he had that whole thing with Mick McCarthy, didn't he? Where he obviously behaved terribly, didn't he? Keane, as a player going home for the World Cup, so maybe he sees this as giving something back. So for me, Roy Keane, redemption for Roy Keane. You wouldn't mess with Roy, would you?
No.
So we have Major Tool to wrap up with. So Mason, for you, I warn you, I've got a little bit to say on Major Tool.
Go on in.
But I'll let you guys go first. So Mason, Major Tool for you.
Non-football related. I read the article about the rugby player who tried to pet the lion at the cage, and I'm not sure what was he doing. It's a lion, isn't it? You're not going to get away with stroking a lion on the head, and yeah, he's my nomination.
Excellent. And for you, Harty, Major Tool.
Gordon Strachan. I've always had a bit of time for Gordon.
Yeah, I like Gordon Strachan.
What was he playing at, going on about genetic pools and things like that after Scotland got knocked out of the World Cup?
We should do one on excuses, shouldn't we? A podcast on the best excuses.
Genetic pool. I mean, that is, you've got Iceland, which is the size of Edinburgh or whatever, and they qualified. and it's just absolutely. I mean, Gordon's PR man must be sitting there going, "What are you going on about?" I mean, if he's the manager of the Scottish basketball team, he's got a point. But it's not. It's an absolutely. I mean, Scotland, unfortunately, Harry Kane with that late equaliser in the summer, and of course, did they draw at home against Lithuania as well, didn't they?
I think they did. That's some bad results.
I think they did. So that's 4 points they've dropped. They've gone out.
Joe Hart tried to help them, didn't he? With 2 free kicks
on goal difference, but no. Sorry, Gordon. It's
Gordon.
Major Tool.
So my Major Tool, right? I don't know if you've even heard of this guy. Former Middlesbrough star, it said, right? Fabio Rochenbach. Does that name mean anything to you? Brazilian. And he's a Major Tool. His involvement in a cockfighting ring. Okay. So I picked that just to see if you. I'm going to give you a bit of time to see if you've got any one-liners for that and keep it clean.
We'll have to keep it.
But this is brilliant, right? So he's an ex-player. He was raided, right, for the cockfighting. 89 roosters confiscated, along with 24 grand in cash. It's about 300 quid a rooster. 146 people detained. 57 charged, and he did this 6 years ago. His farm was raided, so it's Fabio Rochenbach and his fighting cocks. I can see his mind going.
No, it's animal cruelty, so that's awful.
That is exactly what it is.
It's animal cruelty. It's awful. All right, he's an international footballer, and it's that old saying: you can't polish a turd, but you can put glitter on it.
There you go. You're going to get one in there. So, in wrapping up, I guess, Hughes, great to have you here, Mason. It's been brilliant having you on with the predictions. The reminder for everyone out there, so it's YouTube this time, filmed for the first time. Get your predictions on Friday night, Saturday morning. I think that was a film, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or and also your points scored for Monday night, Tuesday morning. And we're also going to see how you've all done. So Mason, this means you've actually got to listen to the next one. So you can see
don't worry about that. Yeah.
I'll be good stuff.
So brilliant, thanks Mason.
Yeah,
As always, Harty. Great stuff.
Good stuff. See you next time.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.